The FIFA World Cup is one of the biggest events on the planet, drawing 5 billion viewers worldwide. But when that attention turns away again, what happens to the stadiums left behind? In this video, we'll explore the troubling fate of World Cup stadiums in Russia, Brazil, and South Africa, and examine how Qatar dealt with this situation. Qatar, over the past decade, has gone above and beyond by constructing an entire World Cup infrastructure, including modern stadiums, state-of-the-art training facilities, and enhanced transportation links. They have spent an astronomical sum exceeding $200 billion, far surpassing any other host nation's expenditure. This is mainly because the country had to build most of this infrastructure from scratch. In comparison, Russia spent around $16 billion and Brazil spent $20 billion in 2014. Even $20 billion is a considerable sum, especially considering that the actual event lasts for less than a month. Apart from gaining international attention, countries hope that the World Cup infrastructure will bring long-term benefits. Improved transportation could revive previously neglected areas, while stadiums could generate revenue by hosting concerts and events. It's an ambitious vision, with vibrant venues outliving their initial purpose. But the history of World Cup stadiums doesn't always paint a pretty picture. Qatar noticed this and proposed some revolutionary plans to handle the problem, but I'll get into that later. But first, let's see what they are working hard to avoid. In other countries, such as Brazil, the story of World Cup stadiums is pretty disappointing. Most of these stadiums are utilized by domestic teams, but struggle to fill the large number of seats. One famous example is the Arena da Amazônia in the remote city of Manaus, which is designed to accommodate 40,000 people, but only attracts around 1,000 fans for local matches. The stadium incurs significant financial losses, exceeding $200,000 per month, prompting desperate measures to cover costs. Another World Cup stadium, the Estadio Nacional, has been repurposed as a bus shelter, while the Arena das Dunas attempts to generate income by hosting weddings and children's parties. When considering that some of these stadiums only hosted 4 World Cup matches, the question on everyone's mind is, was it worth the investment for just a few hours of football? Many Brazilian taxpayers argue that their money could have been better spent, as a significant portion of the population lives in poverty. South Africa, which hosted the World Cup 4 years before Brazil, experienced slightly better outcomes with its stadiums. The Moses Mabhida Stadium in Durban operates as a versatile venue, hosting events, music concerts, and even offering attractions like skycar rides and bungee jumping from the Central Arch. But not all of South Africa's stadiums have been successful, as the Cape Town Stadium, with its 65,000 seats, has never turned a profit. There have been calls to demolish it. Qatar, being keen to avoid the mistakes of previous World Cups, especially after facing controversy and allegations of corruption during its bid, is determined to handle the fate of its World Cup stadiums differently. In the lead-up to the 2018 World Cup, Russia constructed 9 new stadiums and upgraded 3 existing venues, similar to Qatar. The exact cost of this infrastructure is difficult to determine, but it accounted for a significant portion of the $16 billion that Russia spent on the tournament overall. After the World Cup ended, Russia decided to rent these stadiums to domestic football teams. Seems pretty logical, right? After all, the stadiums were designed to host matches, and ticket sales would contribute to covering the running costs. But this strategy didn't really work out as planned. The Russian teams lack substantial support, and most of them struggle to sell even half the tickets to matches. For instance, the Fisht Olympic Stadium in Sochi, which has a total capacity of thousands, only draws an average of 6,000 fans, roughly 15% of its capacity. These low attendances have made it challenging to cover the stadium's running costs, resulting in financial losses that taxpayers bear. These stadiums have been criticized as expensive, pointless, and burdensome, earning the label of white elephants. Moreover, a year after the World Cup, the Kaliningrad Stadium even started sinking into a swamp, requiring nearly $1 million to salvage it. Some argue that it would have been more financially sensible to allow the Kaliningrad Stadium to collapse altogether. But one exception stands out among Russia's new stadiums. The Kazan Arena has successfully transitioned into a multi-purpose venue, hosting football matches alongside concerts, car shows, and fashion events. It has also been enhanced with the addition of restaurants, bars, and hotel rooms. Perhaps this transformation holds the key to long-term success, reinventing the stadium as something entirely new. But the question is, will Qatar be able to do the same? Well, their plans for these mammoth structures weren't that bad at the beginning. Given that Qatar is a small country with around 400,000 Qatari citizens, the existence of 8 colossal stadiums may seem a bit extreme. To put it into perspective, these stadiums have a whopping capacity of 420,000, a far cry from Qatar's population. Comparatively, Russia is home to 140 million people, while Brazil boasts a population of 220 million, and even these countries struggle to fill their World Cup stadiums. So one might think that Qatar has its work cut out for it. But instead of trying to fill these massive arenas, Qatar had a different plan in mind: transforming them. The 2 largest stadiums, Lusail and Al Bayt, were set to undergo a major facelift. Lusail Stadium, for instance, will see a significant reduction in seating capacity. Instead of focusing solely on football, Qatar was hoping to turn it into a modern multi-purpose venue. Imagine shops, cafes, a school, a health clinic, and perhaps even some swanky apartments. Almost like a mini-city within a stadium. As for Al Bayt Stadium, it was rumored to be preparing a transformation into a grand 5-star hotel, a bustling shopping mall, and even a fully functional hospital. Of course, the developers wanted these stadiums to keep their pitches at the heart of the action, but serve as host venues for community events, moving away from professional football matches. On the flip side, 3 more stadiums, Ahmad bin Ali, Al Janoub, and Al Tumama, would still be used for football matches, but not without some downsizing. To make the venues more practical, their seating capacity was going to be significantly reduced from 45,000 to 20,000. This will be achieved by removing temporary seating, a strategy also implemented in Russia, specifically in the case of Yekaterinburg Central Stadium. So, Qatar's World Cup stadiums are not just colossal structures built for a brief sporting event. They were being transformed into vibrant, multi-purpose spaces tailored to the needs of the community. With these plans in motion, Qatar plans to carve out a unique legacy for its World Cup and showcase its innovative approach to stadium utilization. It also had a unique plan for their downsized 20,000-seat stadiums. They pledged to donate the temporary seating to other countries in need of improved sporting infrastructure. It's a thoughtful gesture that could benefit nations looking to enhance their sports facilities. But even the downsized stadiums may face challenges when it comes to reaching full capacity. The Qatari Football League sometimes draws crowds as small as a couple of hundred people, but Qatar has a solution up its sleeve: Stadium 974. This innovative venue is entirely temporary and made from recycled shipping containers. It can be dismantled and rebuilt elsewhere, setting a groundbreaking example for future World Cups. Rather than constructing new stadiums in each host country, a set of flexible, mobile stadiums could be utilized. Qatar is also making plans to utilize its World Cup infrastructure for future events. They aim to follow in the footsteps of Brazil, which repurposed 5 of its former World Cup stadiums for the 2016 Summer Olympics. In 2024, Qatar will host the Asian Cup, an international football tournament, as well as the 2030 Asian Games, an international athletic tournament with more participants than the Olympics. They intend to reuse their World Cup infrastructure for these events, minimizing waste. Plus, Qatar has its sights set on hosting the Olympics, potentially as early as 2036. Only time will tell if these plans come to fruition. As for the mobile stadiums like Stadium 974, their effectiveness for future World Cups remains to be seen. It's an intriguing concept that may hold promise for the future of sporting events worldwide. In fact, there were rumors that the deconstruction of Stadium 974 had already begun after hosting a match between Brazil and South Korea on December 5, 2022. There were whispers that the pieces of the stadium will be shipped to Uruguay, which hopes to host the 2030 World Cup. But while it may seem like the mobile stadium idea is off to an exciting start, critics are suspicious. And rightfully so. 7 on the stadiums for the World Cup at a cost of $7 billion. The original plan was to downsize these venues, including the flagship Lusail Stadium, and relocate the 40,000 capacity 974 stadium, which was built from shipping containers. But in 2023, It seems like those have been put on hold as Qatar stepped in to host the upcoming Soccer Asian Cup after China withdrew as the original host. According to officials, the immediate future of Lusail Stadium is focused on its role in hosting the opening and closing ceremonies of the Asian Cup, but they refuse to provide further details about its future beyond the tournament, which will take place in January and February 2024. Regarding the 974 stadium, they mentioned that it will not be used in the Asian Cup, but only that an announcement regarding its future will be made very soon. Sounds pretty vague, right? So do you think Qatar will be able to utilize those massive structures? Or will this be another replay of Brazil and Russia? Let us know in the comments down below. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.